Hidden truths and shattered trust. My boyfriend's secret life unraveled. 2 years with Leonard felt like a dream woven from hope and promises. Every moment sparkled with the kind of love that made the world feel softer, brighter. We laughed together, planned a future together, moving in, building a life, maybe even forever. He was attentive, kind, the kind of partner who made me believe I'd finally escape the wreckage of past heartaches. But dreams, I learned, can hide shadows. Last Friday, that dream shattered. My phone was dead, and I needed a recipe. So I reached for Leonard's laptop, innocently left open. His banking app stared back at me, and there it was, a recurring payment, $800 every month, labeled Addison Rent. Addison, a name he'd never spoken. My heart sank, a cold weight settling in my chest. Who was she? Why was he sending her so much money? When he stepped out of the shower, I didn't hesitate. I asked him point blank who Addison was. His face froze, a flicker of panic betraying him before he could speak. He mumbled, asking why I wanted to know. I told him about the payment. He sat down, heavy, and confessed. Addison was his ex-girlfriend, from before we met. They weren't together anymore, he swore. Just close friends. She needed help, and he'd been paying her entire rent, for years, including every single month of our relationship. My mind reeled. Close friends? They talked almost daily, he admitted, and he'd never mentioned her. Not once. I pressed him, my voice sharp with betrayal. Did he ever plan to tell me? He had the audacity to say it wasn't relevant, just financial support for a friend. Financial support? That was over $43,000 during our 2 years together. And yet, he'd sometimes claim he was short on cash when we talked about vacations or splitting date nights, to keep things equal. Equal? While he funneled thousands to his ex? I felt like a fool, blindsided by someone I thought I knew. Rage took over. I told him to leave my apartment. He tried to explain, stammering about context, but I was done. His words were noise against the roar of my hurt. I blocked his number that night, ignoring the flood of texts begging me to understand. The next day, Leonard showed up at my workplace, flowers in hand, as if petals could mend a lie that vast. My coworkers' eyes followed us, but I didn't care. I refused to talk, told him to leave or I'd call security. My manager stepped in, and he finally slunk away. That night, more texts came. Long explanations I deleted without reading. Then he started contacting my friends, pleading for them to sway me. They shut him down, loyal to my pain. For a week, I sifted through our relationship in my mind, searching for clues I'd missed. There were moments, his guarded phone, those stepped-out calls, that I'd dismissed because I trusted him. How naive I'd been. My friends rallied around me, agreeing I'd done right to end it. Samantha admitted she'd always thought Leonard seemed too perfect, a gut feeling now proven true. But my sister Holly paused when I told her. She wondered if there was more to the story, if I'd given Leonard a chance to explain. I pushed back. Hiding a daily connection and thousands of dollars to an ex was unforgivable. Still, her words lingered. 3 weeks later, curiosity gnawed at me. Not to reconcile, but to understand how I'd been so deceived. I unblocked Leonard's number and messages poured in. The latest one begged for a meeting, promising documentation to clarify everything. Documentation? What could that mean? Against my instincts, I agreed to meet at a coffee shop near my apartment, making it clear this was about closure, nothing more. Holly came with me to the meeting, sitting at a nearby table for support. My nerves were frayed, my stomach churning. As I walked into the coffee shop, Leonard was already there, a folder in front of him. A folder? What kind of conversation needed that? I gave him 30 minutes to explain. No interruptions. He thanked me for coming and opened the folder, pulling out medical records. Addison, he said, had multiple sclerosis, diagnosed 5 years ago. Her condition had worsened, making full-time work impossible. He'd started paying her rent to help when her symptoms first hit. I asked why he'd never told me, even if they were just friends. His answer stung. Past girlfriends had left him over this financial tie to Addison, and he feared losing me too. So he hid it, letting the lie grow heavier with time. I told him that was no excuse. If multiple women left over the same issue, he should have learned to be upfront. He admitted his mistake, his voice thick with regret. But then came another blow. Those business trips and friend reunions? Lies. He'd been visiting Addison monthly. My heart pounded, ready to walk out, but he stopped me, pulling out another document, an insurance form listing dependents. Addison was there, but so was someone named Ben. I asked who Ben was, and Leonard's voice broke. "He's my son," he said. A son. 6 years old, born after he and Addison split, hidden from me for our entire relationship. I was speechless. He explained they'd tried to make it work after Ben's birth, but it didn't last. When Addison's MS worsened, he promised to support them. He only saw Ben during those monthly visits, avoiding calls to keep me in the dark. I was furious, not just for the lie, but for how he neglected his son to maintain it. Did Addison know about me? He claimed she did, but his lies made me doubt everything. Holly moved closer as my emotions spiraled. I left, overwhelmed, and fell apart at her apartment. A child. A secret so big it rewrote everything I thought I knew about him. That night, I couldn't sleep. The financial support made sense with Addison's illness and their son, but the deception was a chasm too wide to bridge. What kind of father hides his child? What kind of father sees his son so rarely just to keep up a facade? I woke to more texts from Leonard, claiming there was still more to understand. Ignoring him, I turned to Addison's Instagram. Her public posts showed her with a little boy who looked just like Leonard. My heart ached for Ben, caught in this mess. Then I noticed something odd. Photos of Addison with a man named Edwin, captioned with love and devotion. Date night with my love, 3 years with this amazing man. They were engaged, and Edwin was Ben's bonus dad, deeply involved in his life. If Addison had a fiancé, why was Leonard still paying her rent? I showed Holly, and we puzzled over it. Maybe Edwin couldn't afford to help, especially with Addison's medical costs, but something felt off. Was Leonard still entangled with Addison? Was he being manipulated? I wanted to reach out to her but hesitated. What if she didn't know about me? Holly urged me to meet Leonard again, armed with the Instagram evidence to demand answers. I agreed, printing out the posts for our next meeting. At the coffee shop, Holly nearby, I laid the printouts on the table before Leonard could start. His face, seeing Addison and Edwin together, was a mix of resignation and weariness. I asked why he hadn't mentioned Addison's engagement, why he was still paying her rent when she had a fiancé. He explained Edwin was a struggling musician, barely able to support himself, let alone Addison and Ben. Leonard paid the rent to ensure Ben's stability, given Addison's health. I asked why not just pay child support. He said it wouldn't cover her medical needs, and this was their agreement, known to Edwin. It made sense, but didn't erase the betrayal. Then he revealed another layer. Addison limited his access to Ben. When she got sick, she feared Leonard might take Ben if her health failed. She demanded limited visits in exchange for or his financial help, and he agreed, desperate to stay in Ben's life. Over time, Edwin's presence tightened her control. Leonard showed me texts begging for more time with Ben, met with Addison's refusals. He feared a custody battle might cut him off entirely or worsen her health, so he complied. Then he handed me a notebook pages of drawings, stories, and moments with Ben, a father's love poured onto paper. It broke my heart, showing his care for Ben despite the lies to me. I stepped outside, reeling. Holly suggested Addison might be manipulating Leonard, holding Ben hostage for money. I decided I needed Addison's side. Leonard gave me her number, relieved I wanted to talk to her. That evening, I texted her and she agreed to meet the next day. Meeting Addison alone felt daunting, but I needed the truth. At the coffee shop, I recognized her immediately fragile yet striking. She confirmed much of Leonard's story. Her MS, his rent payments, Edwin's role. But her version twisted everything. She claimed Leonard chose limited involvement with Ben, declining her offers for more visits or school events. She showed me texts contradicting Leonard's from the same period where she invited him, and he made excuses. One of them was lying. She also said Leonard downplayed our relationship, asking her not to mention me. That cut deep. Another lie. On the financial side, she admitted Leonard's support was crucial, but she tried to reduce it since Edwin. Leonard insisted on continuing, saying he'd be hurt if she refused. Edwin contributed what he could, but his income was meager. Her embarrassment felt real, but I left more confused. Someone wasn't telling the truth. At home, a package from Leonard waited. A USB drive with years of texts, financial records, even recorded calls. They showed both sides. Addison restricting Ben's access, Leonard pulling back. Both seemed to twist the narrative. Ben, innocent in this, was the only one I pitied. Holly suggested one final meeting with Leonard to confront him with the contradictions. Last night, I met Leonard for the final time, Holly waiting in her car. I spread out everything. Addison's texts, his texts, the USB evidence. I demanded the truth. No more games. He was silent, then confessed. He and Addison never fully let go after their breakup. The money wasn't just for Ben or her health. It was his way of staying tethered to her life, keeping her from moving on with Edwin. Addison, in turn, used Ben to control Leonard, dangling access to secure the payments. They'd been manipulating each other for years, each wielding what the other valued most. The texts? Leonard admitted he sometimes declined visits to later claim Addison blocked him. She'd invite him knowing he was busy with me, painting herself as generous. Why hide it all? His exes had pushed him to seek custody and stop the payments, advice he ignored because this toxic dynamic gave him purpose. Worst of all, Ben was a pawn. Leonard loved him, but prioritized this game over being a father. I told him I was done, urged him to get therapy and legal custody for Ben's sake. He begged for another chance, tears falling, but I walked away. I texted Addison, wishing her well with her health and engagement, hoping she'd find a better way to co-parent. She replied with a simple thanks and apology. I'm stepping away from their chaos, determined to find a love that doesn't hide in shadows.